Fantastic. Thank you, Kim. My Vice President, Brandon Newman. Also, I was wondering if you'd like to say a little welcome.
Yeah, I would. And then I believe I'll be introducing Paul too, correct?
Yes. Correct.
Fabulous. Well, hey, welcome everybody. You're on your third welcome here, so hopefully everybody has the energy for it. But gosh, I wish I could just be there and shake your hands and do all that stuff we were doing just a couple of months ago. I guess this is the closest substitute we could come up with, just to we put in a fair amount of work, and especially Kim O'Brien from the St. Paul Chamber and our marketing committee. So very cool to see people come together to put this together. We're going to hear from some of the business leaders in our community, like our mayor, our county commissioner. We're going to hear just a little bit about the giving that our organization has been doing, hear about some of the activities coming up, and then have a really remarkable guest speaker named Jim Traeger, who will be sharing a little bit of his story. So should be a great meeting. We'll try to keep things as concise as possible, because we all know we have a kind of a limited attention span when it comes to these things. But what I'd like to do next, and very cool, and just so appreciative that Reverend Paul from Heartwood Church wanted to sponsor today's meeting. And he's going to talk a little bit today about an initiative that they're doing called Clean Kids 2020. It talk a little bit about how churches and pastors can bridge the gaps between community. So a few minutes from Paul on that. If you don't know Pastor Paul, really cool guy. He's a pastor at Heartwood Church. That's right here on 10th Street. He's in the areas of Christian spiritual formation, multi-ethnic ministry, and multi-generational ministry. He's from California. That's pretty cool. Always gives me something to ask him about. He goes back there and visits family, I know. He's got two just beautiful kids and enjoys music, running, and has a library of what he calls epic poetry and science fiction. The guy's got some depth. So, hey, Reverend Paul, thanks for joining us here today. And would you mind kind of bringing us up to speed and telling us a little bit about Clean Kids and what you're doing there?
Thanks, Brandon. So he said, I'm Reverend Paul Tillman, pastor of Heartwood Church in Oakdale. Now, there was a time, a long time ago, when everyone came to see the local clergy. Your pastor or priest might be one of the few people in town that could read and write. So we were the hubs for information. And now we have Google for that. One thing that remains for churches is our network. Just as everyone from the nobles to the serfs came to the same priest or pastor, as your local pastor, I still hear from the mayor and business leaders all the way to people who are homeless. And part of my job is to be the bridge. As difficult as it has been for all of us during the COVID-19 shutdown, imagine how it is for someone who was already living on the margins of society and is now pushed over the edge. In Nevada, all the brothels are shut down. Now, as a pastor, you might think I'm cheering that, but I'm also aware that the women who work in those brothels probably had few job skills to begin with, may have no way to feed their families, and may not even be eligible for unemployment because they were independent contractors. So that is why we are going forward with Clean Kids 2020, which is our supply drive for at-risk children. The two partners we'll be assisting this year are First Care Pregnancy Centers, for who we will collect baby wipes, and Tubman's North Star Youth Center, who has requested new bath towel sets. Both of these local nonprofits have remained open, helping our community through the COVID-19 pandemic. So whether through your business or personally, I'm asking you to participate by donating either of the supplies or money for Heartwood Church to go and purchase supplies in bulk. Mark Cove of Platinum Bank has been a fantastic partner for the last 2 years, matching the donations that his employees give. I'd love to add your business to the list of our great partners. The supply drive runs from Mother's Day through Father's Day. All donations are tax deductible, and donations can be dropped off at our church on 10th Street North. And monetary donations can also be made securely online at heartwood.church/give. In conjunction with this, the Red Cross asked us to host the City of Oakdale's blood drive on June 3rd. I'd love to have a sponsor for that event so that every blood donor who brings in a package of baby wipes can be entered to win a prize of your choosing. Right now, all Heartwood Church services are happening virtually on Facebook, YouTube, and Zoom. But our service of bringing life and strength to the community is happening not to avatars, but to real life people. So thank you all.
Fantastic, Paul. Thank you so much. Is there a contact information or something that we can get out there so that people can get a hold of you directly?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you, Reverend. Next up, my printer wasn't that great. I need better ink at home here. Kim, would you like to talk about the survey that we're promoting for our small businesses?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Kim again. So hopefully you guys all saw the link to the Oakdale Chamber survey. This was created by the marketing committee, whose chair is Alyssa from the city, and Tony and Nathan and Christy. The idea behind the survey was to get information about what businesses are open, what they're offering. Many businesses are offering promotions or new types of services, and then get that information out to our full members in the community so that we can all be supporting your businesses in the way that is best. So I'm going to share my screen real quick and hopefully it works. Well, it looks like it's not going to work. Sorry about that. But all you have to do is go to the Oakdale Chamber Facebook page. You'll see the survey posted there. You'll also see the link to the survey on any of the Tuesday Tidbits emails that have gone out. So be sure to go on. It's very quick, 5 minutes max, and then we'll start promoting that information to everybody and getting some business. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Kim. And again, Kim's also a great resource. If you do need help with that, just give her a call at the chamber number that's listed on the tidbits. She's more than happy to help. Next, Tony has some exciting news about our spring fling.
Yes, I do. Well, the unexciting news is that we had to cancel it. So none of us were able to meet together and have that interaction that we have every year. So that was sadly missed. But that's just the way things are going these days. So what we decided to do was to continue on with the ticket sales and to do the drawing for the $1,500 cash. And so what we did is we did that drawing at our last board meeting. We did it via a live video here at my house, and I had my daughter come in on the video and do the drawing. So and I believe we recorded it, so to make sure that everyone knows we did a legitimate drawing on it. So I want to thank all of you who stayed into the deal. We did allow people to get refunds if they wanted to, and most everybody was willing to say nope, keep the money in the kitty and let's do the drawing, and it went really well. I think we raised. We sold about 131 tickets, so about $3,400 in sales. We paid out the $1,500, so obviously we made some money. We will be distributing that out to the charities and the fundraising stuff that we do. Unfortunately, it's not what we normally would make on the event, but we still feel blessed that we were able to do something and have it done. So in our drawing, the winner was our very own Paul Balfans from Burke, Wheeler, and Rolling. Paul is one of our board members, so I'm glad we did this as a live video drawing. And it was probably better than my name getting drawn. But Paul was our winner, and to be honest with you, very well deserved. Paul has been a volunteer for this group for a very long time, and he has been on our board and volunteered to be our treasurer for many years, and so well deserved, and congratulations to him. Again, thank you to everybody else for contributing and staying into the deal, and hopefully next year we'll be able to resume the event and have it at a normal time. And then what we're looking at doing in spite of or in replacement for us not being able to do some of our fundraising events this year is to come up with something in the fall It's all going to depend upon what happens here and how things open up and what comfort level people have and all that kind of stuff. But we'd love to do something in the fall to number one, get together and see everybody face to face again in a fun environment, but also do some kind of an additional fundraiser to help fund those organizations. Those funds go to the Holiday Helping Hand, Christian Cupboard, and our scholarship program. So they're all very well-deserving programs. I'm going to imagine that our Holiday Helping Hand program is going to get hit extremely hard this year coming up. So again, we're trying to get as much donations into those programs as we can. But again, thanks to everybody, and that's all I got.
I have one quick thing. I do know that you had a previous happy hour Zoom.
Oh, yeah. So
I was working, wasn't able to attend, but I want to hear a little bit about that and what's your future plans with that?
So I've been on this Zoom thing for 2 months now, and it's been between this organization, the St. Paul Chamber, my allied executive group, all the different stuff that I'm doing with tons of group meetings. And so we did a happy hour Zoom meeting where I think it was around 4:30, 5 o'clock, somewhere in that range. Everybody hopped onto a Zoom call, had their favorite beverage in hand, and honestly just shared with each other what's going on, how things are going, what our needs were in our businesses. Just a really informal, social way to connect with everybody. And it actually was very well received. It was a lot of fun. We are going to do it again. So, I encourage members to keep an eye on the emails they're getting. I know, right now they're probably thinking, well, I don't need to read these OACC emails because we're not having meetings. There's nothing going on, but actually there is. We're having meetings like this one today. We're going to have another happy hour. We're going to be continuing to put information out there. The survey, highly recommend you get on that survey and tell us how things are going with your business, because we are going to share that. So again, pay attention to the stuff that's coming out from us, and join us for our next happy hour. I think you'll find that it's a lot of fun. Again, it's just an opportunity to have some fun and let your hair down, and just, not that we're not all letting our hair down more than we normally do now, but again, it's a lot of fun. So we'll announce that as soon as we get the next one set up.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Tony. Next, we have Stacy to talk about our well-deserved scholarships that we've just given out.
Hi, everyone. We did select the scholarship winners with the help of the school counselors. We also did that through Zoom, so that was kind of interesting this year, but we got through them. And so we did select 4 winners from the Oakdale Chamber, and our first winner was Claire Cardinal, and she was from North High, and she will be attending the College of St. Mary's University and majoring in biology. And our second winner was Caitlin Propp, and she's from Hill Murray. And an orthodontics full school. And then our next winner is Elijah Zong, and he's from North, and also going to Century College and planning on going into criminal justice. And so all of these kids are very deserving. They're all very involved in their schools and leaders in their sports teams that they were involved in, and NHS. And so it's been really fun getting to see a little bit about them, and we're hoping that their colleges will be normal in the fall and they'll be able to go to school. And so we're working through that. And CoAction was able to actually select 31 scholarship winners that day, so from area businesses and individual memorials. So we were, it was a busy day, but it was great. So thank you for everybody's support on supporting scholarships, and very well deserved.
All right, thank you, Stacy, and the whole scholarship committee. I know that's a lot of work. There's a lot of time and effort put into that, and Very thankful for that. And the students, again, hopefully, like you said, they get to go to college,
Welcome.
things go back to normal, but thank you for that. Next, Angie, another announcement, which is unfortunate, but your pride and joy, the golf tournament, if you'd like to talk about that.
Sure. First, I want to say thank you on behalf of my daughter for the scholarship. She much appreciates it. Mom much appreciates it. And hopefully schools will be open in the fall for all of our 2020 graduates to be able to go off to college. Yeah, unfortunately, we had to cancel the golf tournament. The stress the pandemic is putting on all our businesses out there, we thought it was prudent for us to actually cancel it instead of postponing it at this time. The 2021 golf tournament is scheduled for June 21st. So if you want to put that on your calendars now, Monday, June 21st, we will work together with Tony and whoever else on the marketing committee to get some sort of get together so we can hopefully raise some funds for our holiday helping hands and our scholarships, because that's what we do with our funds from the golf tournament as well. So everybody stay safe and go out and visit your local businesses if you can. The golf course is open, so hopefully you can go out and enjoy a little golf and stop by our local restaurants.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Angie. Again, you do such a wonderful job with the golf tournament. It would never even be closely as successful if it wasn't for you. So thank you. Next, Mayor Paul, I'm excited to hear what you have and what you have to talk to us and our businesses, and hopefully some strength for us, you know, and what's coming up.
Here we go. Thank you very much, Holly, and a big thank you to the Oakdale Area Chamber Board and the members, and of course Kim at the St. Paul Chamber. Also, I should say that just a great congratulations to the scholarship winners. So on the city side, there are quite a few things, some real cool ones. So on the staffing side, we've had a search process in place for the city administrator for a while now. And we interviewed 5 candidates for the city administrator position on April 29. We were able to identify the preferred candidate, and right now we're in that process for negotiating an employment agreement. And the council is scheduled to announce our new city administrator at the May 12th council meeting. So if all goes per plan, we're expecting the new administrator to start towards the end of June. Another positive note is our building official. You all know that longtime employee Bill Schmidt retired after, some 20-some years. And for the replacement process there, 4 candidates have been interviewed for that chief building official position. And that's gone real well. So we're expecting to make that appointment at the May 26th meeting. Let me talk about COVID. It's sad to hear all the closings and just the reality of what this disease is, this virus is causing us to take certain actions. From the city's point of view, we are developing a plan, though, and procedures for a safe reopening of the city hall to both staff and public. Now, this plan is going to align with the lifting of the governor's stay-at-home order, which is currently expected on May 18, and City Council will be reviewing those plans at our next meeting. That's a plan that's going to be done very well and with a high level of degree of caution and safety, but also respecting that work needs to continue. On a sad note, the Summerfest, we had to cancel that, or we decided to cancel that Summerfest event on our April 15th meeting. That was scheduled to take place June 25th to the 28th. And again, that decision was based on the best interest of the health and safety of the community. On a fun side or a cool side, the Oakdale Fire Department participated in a statewide homemade mask drive on April 25th. Oakdale residents donated a total of 1,500 masks during that event. These were all distributed to congregate care facilities through the Washington County Health Department and also the Emergency Management Group. On a couple of pieces of other news, the Oakdale Athletic Association was recently awarded a $10,000 Minnesota Twins Fields for Kids grant, which they are donating to the city to fund safety repairs and improvements down at Berth Field. The remainder of the cost, which is about $55,000, will be funded through the Oakdale Area Athletic Association's charitable gambling program. So work on the field will begin this spring, and the city is extremely grateful for our continued partnership with OAA. In addition, we've got some recognition coming up. So the National Police Week is May 10 to 16, and the National Public Works Week is May 17 to 23. You know, our police officers and public works employees are instrumental to the health and safety of our community, and we certainly appreciate all the work that they do and thank them for the service. Now, two more things and I'm done, Holly. First off, Fire Chief Anderson, after a career of 41 years with the city, has submitted his resignation, which is effective July 31. We acknowledged that at our last Chamber of Commerce meeting, or City Council meeting, and read a short blurb about his achievements while he has been with the city. So we have already begun with the replacement process for that position. Also, I want to acknowledge Officer Higgins. So Officer Higgins retired effective April 30th, but this gentleman had 32 years of service to the community and within our police department, and did just a phenomenal job. So we wish both Chief Anderson and Officer Higgins just a wonderful retirement and a tremendous thanks for their service. Holly, that's it.
Thank you so much, Paul, and thank you for all the efforts that you're doing for our small businesses. I know that there's a lot of things that seem, there's almost common sense involved, but you're having to, shut down parks and things like that, where, again, I know there's lots of tough decisions, and it's unfortunate that sometimes it's just common sense, but you just have to do what is necessary for that. So thank you, and thank you for always being back behind all of our businesses. So, and next, we'll do Commissioner Stan.
Thank you, Holly. Welcome, everyone. I hope you and your families are staying safe and healthy. Like to congratulate those scholarship winners, especially Angie, your daughter. I met your kids when they were young and a few times, and it's hard to believe they've all grown up. Also, I wanted to mention a shout out for Tony in that happy hour. That was a lot of fun. So I look forward to more of those. And just before I start my comments regarding the comments for the county, Mayor Reinke, a lot of significant news. A lot of those excellent employees are starting to retire, and got a lot of exciting news in the city. So it's nice to hear. Thank the mayor for his leadership. Want to start out, we have a great relationship the county does with our cities, starting with the mayors, and Mayor Reinke and I think can rely on each other for any collaboration during this COVID-19. For my report, maybe the most significant thing we did was we're gonna do whatever we can for businesses that we have control of. So we did waive penalty on the May 15th due date. We pushed that back to July 15th, no interest or penalties. For anyone with property taxes less than $100,000, which is virtually, that's for residents and businesses. So that virtually captures everyone to have that ability to defer their tax payment. We also are providing small business support through our Open for Business program and our Washington CDA for business guidance and consulting. I'm going to go through along. My report is mainly really COVID related, just like the mayor's. Safety is paramount. We're fortunate to have been recognized to have a great health department, as our Lowell Johnson leads that. As he pointed out, when you have a health crisis like this with COVID-19, it's not the time to start collecting business cards and making relationships. So we've got a great health department that coordinates with the state CDA to stay on health tracking. To leverage off of what Mayor Reinke said regarding face masks and gloves, we noticed a great deal of donations being offered, from monetary to medical COVID-related products. So we started a program to take in those items and get them out to the appropriate priority sites, such as hospitals and nursing homes and such. We have had, moving to parks and recreation, up till May 5th, we had free park access. We did close off, like the city, we closed off the play areas, but it was really good for our residents to get out on the trails and the significant trails we have in the county. But we lost a lot of revenue, so we are now, the parks were being overused and policing issues, so we've actually now reinstated our fees. We're noticing a lot of increased homeless and food type demand. So we're coordinating with our different food shelves and the programs we have at the county for food, with people being out of work. And surprisingly, there are a lot of homeless people in everyone's county, including Washington County. We're fortunate enough to be well off as a county, but we do have homelessness. I think the COVID-19 is kind of like a tsunami. There's this huge wave out there, out on the ocean. You can't see it, but it is going to hit and leave a lot of financial disruption. You know, obviously we're seeing it with our businesses right now immediately, but there's a lot of costs being incurred by the county that we're looking to be reimbursed from state and federal sources. The next relief aid, fourth package from the federal, we're trying to get that to be applied to small counties under 500,000. So right now, only Ramsey County and Hennepin have gotten federal aid, and it's been significant. So they may announce programs to help businesses and residents, but they're getting that money from the federal, and we don't have that yet. So we continue to work on that so that we can help our businesses locally. Just a few more things. Libraries, we're trying to make them as accessible as possible online. Licensing, you can do that online. We've eliminated now for almost a couple months that face-to-face contact. We are following the executive actions orders of the Governor Walz and really abiding by that level of standard. Health and safety is our paramount. We are restoring, one of the things we restored this week was our environmental center, our hazardous waste site, as people have been cleaning out their businesses and homes and properly wanting to throw away hazardous materials. We feel at one point they were so used so much it was kind of dangerous for the workers and the people dropping off, but that's subsided. We've got more knowledge on the health risks, so we've reopened that up. Again, we have a great health department. We're trying to keep our eyes open, help the businesses. And I want to point out one thing at our last board meeting this week. Ravine Park, there's a new facility plan, and we put a pause on that to make sure any new building we're doing would meet the COVID-19 from architecture features, to make sure it's safe, to make sure the tax dollars spent will apply to a building that will be pertinent to prevent any kind of pandemic in the future. And everyone be healthy and safe, and please call on the county. I have helped some businesses directly, and please call on the county if we can help you. And we'll continue to monitor the city and work with our, not only Oakdale, but all our cities to get through this together. Thank you. Sorry for the long report, but it's been a while since we met, and those are very important topics.
Holly, you're still on mute there. And I did just want to mention, Commissioner, there is a question for you from Rick. He says, regarding the deferred property taxes for business, does this include city and school district amounts too?
I'm not sure the context of that. I know that because a lot of that is if they're over 100,000, no, but we actually designed it for that. We collect the property taxes at July 15th for the disbursements back to the cities and counties don't get delayed. So we were mindful of that. That had a large part to do. I can't, if they would send me an email on that, or I'll note it down and I'll see what the impact is on that question.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Stan. It's great to hear from you. With that being said, guys, I'm excited to announce that we do have a guest speaker to talk about the crisis in business. His name is Jim Traeger, and welcome, Jim. And Jim, go ahead and tell a little bit about yourself here before you tell your speech or do your presentation. And I'm very excited and thankful for having you here today. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. A little bit about myself. I come from Roseville, Minnesota, just over a couple cities over. I grew up on Schreier Avenue, went to Corpus Christi, to Tino Grace, and then went to Winona State University, got a Bachelor of Arts degree, international law, was going to go into law school, and they wouldn't take me because I wanted to go into maritime law, and they decided that I was already through college, so I didn't have to go into the Coast Guard. And I crashed a plane when they asked me to take that test, so I couldn't do it. So I ended up going and starting my own company. And fast forward, basically my company was started right north of the state fairgrounds with the money from the state fair parking that I got and the golf ball money. I kept the business going through hard times, cleaned the floors, the bathrooms to keep the business going through hard times, and built it up into a multi-million-dollar company, largest direct mail company in the Twin Cities at the time. And in 2008, unexpectedly, someone came to my door and said, "Would you like to sell your company?" And I said, "Well, I'm too young, but if I can retire, sure, I'll sell it." And after a couple months of looking at that, my wife says, "You got to do something else." So I ended up going to getting my master's degree at Augsburg College, and then I would start businesses from scratch, build them up, products, lines, and things like that. The latest one was a frying saucer. And then I also bought companies out of bankruptcy, built them up and sold them, and then showed other people how to start businesses, as well as showing people how to bring their business back from the brinks of bankruptcy. So with all that being said, I'll go to getting my presentation going here. So I have to share my screen, is that correct? So you can see me. And how does that look? Can you see that? Holly, can you see it?
Yes, looks great, Jim.
Okay, you can see the presentation. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I know that the presentation that I wanted to give is a little bit different today because of the fact of navigating through a crisis, or I like to call it a situation, because as you're going to find out, the words that you use during this time to your customers, to your employees, is going to be very important. With that being said, we've had a lot of different recent economic disruptions. In 1987, we had the stock market crash, 9/11, the stock market and housing crash of 2008, now today, COVID. And there's been some companies even before that that have worked very well, have done very well. Kellogg's, for example, during the 1930s, Kellogg's came in and was second to Post cereal. Kellogg's Post decided they're going to hold off on everything, not spend anything in advertising, not do anything with their company, and they held off. Kellogg went in and doubled down, basically spending millions of dollars on advertising, buying up everything they could at 10 cents on the dollar, and basically came out of the 1930s as the leader in the cereal industry. Coca-Cola, as you know, was the first coupon ever used. They always seem to come get a free Coke. When people were lonely during the war and before, Coca-Cola said, we'll be your friend. And in the Twin Cities here, I want to add to Culver's. There's been two different Culver's. One decides to advertise, the other one doesn't. And during the May issue, and what happened was Culver's, our product hit the mailbox. Their ad hit the mailbox the day that everyone got their stimulus package when it comes to, and they were so busy during that time, where other Culver's decided not to and retreat. They decided it didn't do as well. One of the things that's very important about during this crisis or situation, as we call it, we have to make sure that we're going to be everybody's friend. We try and help and communicate, not only with our customers, but with our employees. Well, let's start with just the customers themselves. Present the facts. Never tell something to a customer you don't know the answer to. Calm them down. What's different about today and other crises is we have the internet, and there's a lot of information, ABC, CBS, NBC, a lot of different news organizations that are making it a political situation where we don't need it. So what I've done is as we go through these slides, I stay out of the politics. I stay out when I talk to my customers. I make sure that they calm them down. And one of my friends runs a fairly good center all over the United States. And I asked him the other day, I said, what are you guys using to be knowledgeable of what's going on? And I gave you some examples here. And I'm just going to click on one of them really quick. And I'm going to show you, this is one of my favorites. It's the COVID-19 projections. You go into the United States, you go all the way down to the state of Minnesota, and you could basically see what's going on. Basically, when everything was closed, when it's projected to be open, and then where is the social distancing, what's going on with the different rates, infection testing, what's going on, the different graphs, the deaths per day as it slides and going down. So I'm not going to go through this, but I just want you to know that you can click through every single one of these. If you need a copy of the presentation, I can also just email us, and at the very end you have our email. But there's a lot of other good resources. Remember, knowledge is power if you use the knowledge. And also it was really important, especially with the AIDS package, where a lot of the businesses in our community did not know where to go, what to do. And I tell you, the Chamber of Commerce all over has been great. And thank you, by the way, for all of you for inviting me here today and allowing me to speak on behalf of our business, as on behalf of what we're doing, and to help other businesses. The other thing we want to do is also seek out the positives and choose your words wisely. There's always going to be situations. When I talked about the companies a few minutes ago, I remember instances all the way back from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s when people had situations. For example, a golf course was making a big promotion in the month of May, and all of a sudden May came and there was a big snowstorm. Now that's not a big issue to you, but it was to them. And if you also remember during the 80s, Roseville had a major tornado that went through. And in between the Arby's and the Burger King, there was a small mall. And if you remember what was in that mall, it was called The Sound of Music. And what they did is, after they were devastated by that whole mall got ripped to shreds, they decided to have an after tornado party, a dent and damage party. And they brought all their instruments and everything else from all the different stores, and thus created basically the company of Best Buy. So there's a lot of good things that come from different disasters and things like that. I'm also not going to go through this slide as much, but I want you to know, if you're a restaurant listening today, there's a lot of different things that we pass to our customers. Rewards Network Establishment Services on the top corner, you can see where the article is written by, but there's great information for you to tell people, show people what you can do. Some of the biggest restaurants I know in Hudson area, in the Stillwater area, stayed open, and we helped them as we got through it. to tell people to understand that they were open to help other people. If people don't know you're open, they're not going to know where to go and what to do. Everyone assumes that everyone's closed. The other important thing during a pandemic or a crisis or situation would be to communicate with your employees. Very first thing we implemented a month and a half ago, call them. Call all your customers, call all your employees. Calm them down, make sure everyone's understanding. Go-to meetings are so important. Constant communication with your staff, 2, 3, 4 times a day. I have 14 salespeople here in the state of Minnesota, and we're on the phone constantly, if not every day, every other day. But every day for the first month, we had go-to meetings. It was important for everybody to see themselves, to see other people. And you know, as we were talking earlier, Tony was talking earlier, try those happy hours. We have a happy hour every Wednesday with our executive team. And it's really important to not only talk about business, but also talk about each other's lives and how things are going. That interaction is so important today. So I encourage you not only just to have that type of meeting, but also to have a happy hour meeting. Negotiate with vendors. There's a book that's out there, and I will give you a reading list of different books that I've used, but negotiating, the art of negotiation. And even if you're in a pandemic or not, it's really important that every time you're talking to a vendor, ask them at least 3 times if you can get a reduction in your pay. Now, there's 2 ways of negotiating. One is a reduction in your bill or a reduction in the services that you're using. But also, the second thing is negotiating terms. And a lot of them are willing. They don't want to lose your business. They don't want to see you go under. So what we end up doing is the biggest mistake that people will make is they will negotiate terms at the same time they're negotiating price. Do not do it at the same time. Negotiate price first. If that doesn't work, then negotiate terms, okay? And do it with anything, especially if you're buying a new car. I got some great tips for you. The other thing is clean up your systems. This is the time your people are at home. This is the time if you're on different types of analytics or data that you are gathering for your customers, their phone numbers, their emails, all of that, clean it all up. We use Magman right now in our system. I know other people use Salesforce and things like that. But now is the time to clean up your systems, to make sure that everything is updated. Review all of your expenses. When it comes to your expenses, it's kind of important that people understand that you prioritize all your expenses, and maybe this isn't the year that you pay for the golf membership. Adjust. Everyone needs to make sure they're adjusting. It's no longer going to fit in a nice box, but adjust with your team, adjust with your crew, and adjust with your customers through terms. Finding the opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities. In fact, there was one gentleman who basically did the jumpy jumps. USA Inflatables did jumpy jumps, and they turned their opportunity around, and now a new day of disinfecting. So on the front, they took a disinfecting company. They immediately changed around because a lot of people are going to need that when they start coming back to work. Note all who shine and all who do not. Who's running to the fire and who's running away. Who's the one that was on the Titanic pushing the children, women and children aside, trying to get on the lifeboats, and who are actually trying to play an orchestra instrument to calm the people. Look to see who is helping and who is not. Those are the people you're going to be pushing into leadership next. You'll be surprised at what you see when you look around. The last thing is keep track of all losses due to COVID. You may not be getting something from the federal government right now, but if and when you do, you have it right there. And when they ask for information, they want it pretty close, quickly. This is what we did. This is scenario A. If someone or if I get COVID, this is what I need to do. This is the action required. This is the pay time implications. If I or somebody I know in my house has been potentially exposed to COVID, here's the situation. Here's the action required. Here's the pay time implications. Again, I'm not going to go through this. I put this slide in there for your reference. A lot of what you're seeing here is stuff that you can go back to, read, and hopefully it works, even if you just pick out one thing. What customers, employees see what the storm looks like. Everyone likes to look down. Everyone wants to see what's going on now. but it's up to us. It's up to you, if you have customers, to give them new ideas, to help them through this, to show them what's it going to look like a month down. We're already talking about June right now. Next week, we're talking about July. We have to look ahead. So people are looking down, we have to remind them that June and July are not too far away and that we're going to be back in business. And we're going to be doing business a whole new way. So we gather all the information that we need to tell people about how and what to look for. For examples, restaurants. What can we do now during the COVID situation to keep our business and doors open or reopen them up? What are we going to do in the future? And how much more space am I going to have to get to house or bring in the same amount of people? Dentists are turning their waiting rooms into virtual waiting rooms. Instead of having a waiting room for people to go see the dentist, they're asking them to wait in their cars. Nail salons, they're putting shields up and then they slide your hands through the shield so you have no direct contact with the person right there. It's really important during this time that we're rebuilding our customers and bringing in new customers. More important, rebuilding and announce. This is really important. Announce your safety measures. What am I going to do as a business to make my customers feel safe? Am I going to advertise what I'm doing? No, they already know I'm cleaning my teeth. They already know I'm a dentist. But what am I going to do to make sure that my customer is safe? And at that time, you're going to get one step ahead of everyone else when it comes to that. And the other things on TV, like Kellogg did, and some of the McDonald's I just saw this morning, the feel-good commercials. What are they doing for their community? What are they doing to help out others? To feed the people on the front lines? That's really important. Or who you're donating and what you're donating to, and be a part of that and advertise that with yourself and with your company. So you don't always have to advertise what you do, but what you're doing for your community. The last thing is come up with solutions. One of the examples that I say here is there was a gentleman last week in the HVAC company that said, basically, we love advertising, but we cannot, Jim. And I said, why? He said, because we can't even follow the standards to keep our people safe. I said, what do you mean? I need masks. I can't get them. Well, we found a solution. We connect the mask maker to him, and within a week, he got his mask. Now, we're not in the mask business. We're in the advertising business, but we're helping our customers. The other thing is, remember, tell everybody about the successes that are going on. A prime example of this is, Google it, Texas Roadhouse. They basically took their situation where everyone else shut their doors. Texas Roadhouse basically sold off their meat. And then they also had drive-through, which they normally don't have. And then in part of the Texas Roadhouses, they had people that were waiting for the food and they can watch basically an outdoor movie. These are what make people and owners great of companies, is they come to find the solutions. We're all in this together, as we always heard. But the other thing is, talk to other owners. Find out what's going on. Many people thought that nobody was advertising during this time. In fact, our company, we had a lot of people that were advertising. We were very lucky. But one of the things I have to remind everyone is like a NASCAR race. In times of trouble, it's not necessarily important to take a pit stop. Because if you're in first place, like a NASCAR, and you go into the pit stop, it's going to take you 2 or 3 or 4 laps to go from first place to third to fourth to fifth. So don't take a pit stop unless you absolutely have to. What does the world look like after COVID-19? What does your store or industry look like? Think ahead, think further. And in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you what I feel that people should be doing on the internet, website, and social media. I'm not selling anything here, but I'm going to show you what you could expect to pay, what you should expect to do, and how it's done. And I'm going to give you terminology because you know what? The social media is here and alive. The internet is here and alive. Even before COVID, it's really going to be here now. Getting your message out and what the message should be, how you get the message out and what it should be. Now, I don't care what you're using, because there's a lot of different ways: the internet, TV, radio, newspapers, billboards, direct mail, and shared mail. I personally am fond of internet and direct mail. I've done a lot of that because I can pinpoint exactly what we're doing. Why keep advertising during COVID-19? Well, last week, Seattle saw a 40% increase in overall internet traffic compared to the normal weeks before. There's increasing customer retention by 5%, can increase profits 25 to 95%. And the Nielsen data analyst report this week indicates that when customers stay home amid broadly disruptive events, the media consumption rises nearly 60% or more. People-based campaigns. People-based campaigns are really important on the internet. Now remember, it's so important that you have to understand your demographics. What does this mean? Well, I know that my demographics is a female, age 25 to 45 years old. I know that that person lives within a 10-mile radius of my store. I also know that most people who advertise or who come into my store have a household income of 60,000 plus. And I know that they have to be searching for high fashion. And because we're part of the largest direct mail company in the world, it's amazing the data we have. Found in our massive database, Google searches, social activity, offline actions, financial data, location tracking, we found 15,241 people that match this demographic. Then we take the perfect match and we start sending out emails to them. And we start sending out other ways to get them. Because we can get them through the TV, the display, the social, the native, the video, the email. People, it's amazing what the internet is doing today. Your audience will see your advertising whenever you go to your favorite apps. If you ever wondered at times if you're looking up to find a blanket or dog bed for your dog, and all of a sudden next time you turn on a computer, you realize on the side there's a lot of advertising for dog beds. It's because we're tracking you, or somebody's tracking you, and they're tracking everything you're doing on the internet. What are we doing? Well, Save On went directly into the helping mode. We basically told anyone who was an advertiser or not an advertiser of ours, we're going to give you a free microsite. Why? Because we go to 1.3 million homes. We have a lot of people that are on our microsites, and so looking for things. So we gave all the restaurants, and we created a page, all restaurants in the Twin Cities or surrounding areas who were giving takeout items, and we put them on the website, no matter if they were a past or present customer of ours. We also looked at their website because so many people were not prepared on their website to sell things. So we showed them and gave them analytics on how to do that. We found out how their presence on their digital was looking. So many people, when they have a website, haven't figured out that they're supposed to look as good on their phone as well. We reviewed that, and we looked at their competitors to see what they're doing, and we gave them a free campaign analysis. And this is what we do for all the chambers and all the chambers members. We do all of this for them to help them out. The first part of everything is to remember and know your ROI, return on investment. So many people do not know this. What is your customer worth? What does it cost to take care of that customer? And how often is that customer coming back? If you are in the home improvement industry, you need to know how many leads you need to get a sale. It's so important that you know this. With this information, you should be able to determine your budget. And we are so in tune to this, and we make sure that our customers understand it. We even have a customer expectation. We actually go through it with them. The other thing that's important is understanding and measuring your results. So many people are advertising on TV and radio and direct mail, and they don't even have a clue of how many people are coming their way because of the advertising that they did. Make sure you're tracking your results. What we do is in our microsite, we can tell you how many people are hitting your site, how many people are clicking on your site, how many people are reviewing all your offers, which offers they're reviewing, and how many are printing those out or utilizing them on the cell phone. We also have barcodes that are in every one of our coupons, so we know exactly how much money that customer made or spent while using that coupon. And at the last and most important thing is the call tracking results. You can get a call tracking every single month knowing where that ad was. So if you decide to put a call tracking ad on a TV ad that you're doing, you know exactly how many ads or people are calling because of that ad. You can listen to the phone call. You can tell how many people, and the reason why you're listening to phone calls is because you're not answering all the phone calls. 2 minutes? All right. The last thing as we move forward here, and you can go on our microsite, you can look at that and see what you can get to offer. But a microsite, for example, this one here is would cost an average person about $900. Here's the different types that you have. You have basically 3 pages where you can see that and where you can get in touch with someone. I just showed you an example, but again, when you go through this again, you can take a look at all that. Understanding digital terminology, here is a cheat sheet. Remember when you're in high school and you had a cheat sheet on something? This is basically all the terminology you need to know. The most important part here is geofencing. You can put a fence around yourself or your competitors. For example, if I'm a painter and I own a hardware store, I can put a geofence at the Home Depot down the street of all the people who go into the paint department and give them an ad to come to my hardware store and look at my paint. And we follow the customer through the awareness, through the consideration process, the purchasing, the retention, and advocacy problem of it. What it does is basically 20% of the people that come to look for something. For example, I'm going to look for a roofer. I want to know questions about how long should my roof last. I'm immediately giving them questions. Well, a roof should last 35 years. Okay, well, they're going to leave my website and they're going to do the research. So they're going to go to other websites and they're going to look at different stores. And then just as they're ready to buy, I'm going to hit them again with another ad. I'm going to say, come to me. You were here at the beginning, come to me, I'll give you 20% off. So we follow the customer all the way through the journey. And targeting your market. I can tell you through anything, I can tell you that guy down the street, he owns a Chrysler, he owns a Toyota, he needs an oil change, she drinks beer, and he drinks wine. We can target your customers if we know the demographics. That's how powerful direct mail is today, and that's how powerful the internet is. With all that being said, I think I'm just about done here. One of the things you want to look at when it comes to finding an advertising partner during a crisis is you want to make sure that you have trust and accountability with the people. We use the Media Ratings Council. We make sure that our fraud rate, which a fraud rate is considered a bounce rate of something. If you're using emails, most emails at 35% are fraudulent, meaning that they bounce back. They're bad emails. We're scrubbing our list constantly, only 5 to 8%. The second thing is we're managing and optimizing your campaign 2 to 3 times a week. And at the very end, like I said before, we give you measured results. We tell you exactly the response that you're getting and when for your help. The last thing I want to say is offer frequency and size. Make sure that during this time that you're utilizing your advertising dollar. Your offer has got to be the best. It can't be a free fortune cookie with every takeout order. It can't be the fact that you're spending millions of dollars on something, because I can give me $1 million to spend on this water, okay? And people are saying, it's gonna be a successful campaign, $1 million. Not if I advertise this water for $10. It's not going to do anything. So make sure that you have a good offer, frequency, and size. And I can give you more statistics of what to stay with a campaign, and this is what I'm gonna leave you with. Someone had asked me one time, this is in my backyard, and I asked my kids, I said, can you tell me what you see? Oh yeah, I see work. You're gonna want us to cut that tree down tomorrow and chop it all up. And my other son said, well, I see a dead tree. Well, I see opportunity. And I took that tree and we made things out of it and we made money for it. There's opportunities in everything, good and bad. Take those opportunities. The final thing is questions. If you have any questions, you can either call me or Christy. We're going to take questions here momentarily, but I'm going to leave you with this. Route 66, if you remember back in the 80s and 70s, is the same as the I-90 corridor, where a lot of passes were going through the towns. And after the 1970s, they made overpasses to go into towns. This one particular town had a gentleman, had a restaurant. And he was going to close his doors. He basically said, hey, I'm 65 years old. I've been very successful in my restaurant, but because of this overpass now, no one's coming. So he closed his doors and retired. And he says, I'm going to live off my Social Security. Well, like anyone else, he realized that after about 5 or 6 months, Social Security was not going to give him anywhere the lifestyle that he wanted. So what did he do? He basically went into his drawer, grabbed his gun, and grabbed a pad of paper and a pen. Walked out to the back of his property, basically was going to write his last and final note to his family, which was a suicide note. And he sat down, he started writing things out. And what he wrote out is all the things that he remembered in his life. Hey man, I was really good at the restaurant business. He said, but you know what? I don't want to go back in the restaurant business. And he found out that there was one thing he was really good at, and that was creating spices for his food in his restaurant where people came from all over. So he put the gun back and he says, I'm going to go back into business again and I'm going to sell my spices. And he went all the way around the town and to town to town. He went to 5 people. They said no. 10 people. They said no. 100 people. They said no. 500 people. They said no. Now, how many people after 500 no's would give up? 1,009 no's. Later, there was a yes. And that yes was the new birth of the franchise owner, Colonel Sanders, and KFC was born. So don't give up. Understand there's always a bright side to everything. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Chamber. And if anyone has any questions, I'll take them now, or you can call me or email me later. Thank you.
Hi, Jim. Hi, everybody. Well, I'm sure just like everybody, or like me, I hope everybody really enjoyed Jim's presentation. I'm fortunate enough for what I do for my job is different types of marketing. And so I've had the pleasure of working with Jim and also his Save On company, as well as all kinds from radio, TV, digital to billboards. So right now, it seems like my phone's ringing off the hook because everybody wants to not only talk, make sure everybody's doing well, but what can they do to help my business, which is obviously heating and air. What can we do for you, Holly? And it's such a blessing to not only work with these people, but to just know that everybody's out there and cares. Because heck, if I wasn't communicating with all of these people on a consistent basis, they wouldn't be in contact with me. So there is a lot of relationship building. I do know, like you said, knowledge is power, and to keep looking, finding solutions, finding opportunities. And I loved your presentation, and kind of a junkie like that. I watch this stuff all the time because I want to do my best at my job. You know, I'm very one of those proud people to be on top of things when I can. So, and everything's changing every day. You know, we got the OTT with the TV now, and people are saying, get off of regular TV, get onto the streaming TVs, and it's always changing. With that being said, let's see if we have some questions, and I will actually read them back to Jim for people because we did go over time. Again, thank you. Be safe, be well. Call me anytime if you need anything. And as a chamber president, Apollo Heating and Air, thank you. And let's see if we got some questions. Okay, Jim, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
What, excuse me, what do you tell businesses that say they don't have money to advertise right now? Or they say they want to hold off until the COVID situation's over?
It depends upon what business it is. We remind them that most businesses are staying the course. We don't have a lot of cancels. Where we're finding the cancels right now are the Asian restaurants, the buffet restaurants, in particular, Mexican restaurants. We're finding most of those are not, unless they have something where they're takeout, and then we give them, you know, if they don't have any money, we're still going to give them the microsites, and we're still going to tell people about them. We have the avenue to do that.
Yeah, you do actually have the opportunity to help.
Right, and we also will defer their payments further out, and we'll give them more for their payments right now. So if they are, we'll give them, you know, defer them out if they need help.
Excellent. I think that's it for questions. Tony says, how important is relationship marketing right now?
Well, I've always told my team to make sure you contact your customers every single month. And we have found out that there's a lot of companies that have not reached out to their customers at all. And they're losing them left and right. We constantly reach out to them, either email, mostly by phone call. We make sure that everyone has been called by phone, and then they reach out by email. but make sure that everyone is contacted. Very important. Probably the most important thing you can do.
Yep. I talk with Betty probably 2 times a week.
Huh?
And it can be about business or how she's going to help me, or lots of different things. So yes, I'm very pleased to be a customer of yours, and Apollo obviously is the one who advertises in your magazine, but my Father's Day ad is coming out soon. But thank you, everybody. I hope you guys found this as successful as I did. I'm brand new to this. I've been on plenty of Zoom meetings these last months. And this was my first time doing our chamber meeting via Zoom and kind of a webinar style. So I look forward to seeing everybody again. We're going to keep our normal dates as always. Now, June, we don't technically have a meeting in June. So our next meeting will be July 2nd. So watch your emails for the time of that. And we'll make sure we get sensitive topic speaker for that meeting. And then everybody, again, just be blessed. If you need anything, give me a call. Dan has the answer for the question about the taxes regarding the school. Stan, can you unmute yourself? He's trying.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on with Stan's audio. Stan, if you can hear us, you are muted, and I'm assuming you tried to unmute, but it's not working. Could you try unmuting one more time, Stan? Okay. Well,
depending on the amount of people that want to know the answer to that question, maybe just shoot Stan an email. I know, Dr. Tim, you wanted to, that was the initial person who asked the question. Why don't you just shoot Stan an email? Anybody else interested, just say, I'd like to have the answer to that, because unfortunately I can tell he's trying. I can see him, but yeah, put your answer in the chat would work too. If we can keep the chat up for a little bit.
Oh, I'm here.
Whoa, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I wanted to make sure I was able to contact my staff. I wanted to make sure I knew everything about schools and cities. Schools, even private, they're nonprofit, they're exempt from paying property tax. Cities are exempt from paying property tax. The only situation a school or a city would pay property tax would be if they took some land and they were made a private for profit business aspect where they're trying to make money off the land, trying to, you know, start some for-profit type situation. That's rare. I'm not aware of a situation. So businesses and schools don't pay taxes. And like I say, July 15th was, we intentionally picked that for we can make sure we got the money we collect for the cities and the schools on their behalf as a service back to them for that they can operate. Many schools and many smaller cities don't have the cash flow to handle a lot of delays. So that was, we were mindful of that. Hopefully that answers the question. Appreciate it.
All right, I'm glad we got in on that question there. So that's good to know that they're exempt in that way. Mary says, I think the question was, the bill is made up of county, state, and school taxes. Is the full tax bill deferred?
Yes, I'm certain of that, whatever. And if they're under $100,000, it's deferred.
That's excellent.
There's no restriction. We are actually encouraging people, if they can, to pay their taxes as normal, but we don't want to pick winners and losers, so we're pretty generous by A lot of the other suburban counties used a cap of $50,000.
I was just
And,
gonna say Ramsey County is 50,000.
Yeah, so we wanted to include as many, virtually all the companies should qualify, and businesses.
Excellent. Well, again, everybody be well. Tony mentioned maybe we do another meeting. I'm totally game if we did a good enough job. I think for our first try, I think it was awesome. So watch your emails, everybody. And like I said, be blessed and call if you need anything. All right. Bye.